We're going to do a little introduction to probability. Hopefully we all know that the probability of an event is always between 0 and 1. It's always going to be a number between 0 and 1. If the probability is 0, then there is no probability, no likelihood that the event will occur. And if the probability is 1, then there is every likelihood that the event will occur. There are two types of probability. There is theoretical, which we are going to talk about today, and there is experimental, which we will not talk about. We'll also do a little geometric probability. The definition of probability is given, and then also, how do we find probability? When all outcomes are equally likely, then the theoretical probability that an event called A will occur is written as a fraction, the number of favorable outcomes to the total number of possible outcomes. So we're going to look at an example of probability, which, by the way, we already know how to do simple probability, where we say, okay, if I roll a dice, then what's the probability that I'm going to roll a 1? Well, there are 6 sides, and one of those sides has a 1, so the probability is 1 out of 6. That's what we call simple probability. So we're going to look at a little bit of probability that's not so simple today. If, let's say, we put a CD in a player that has 8 songs. If you set the player to play the songs at random, and the player plays all 8 songs without repeating any song, what is the probability that the songs are played in the same order that they are listed on the CD? So we have to think of what would be a favorable outcome and how many total outcomes are there. A favorable outcome would be if the songs were played in the same order as they are listed on the CD. So we know that there is only one way for that to happen. Out of how many ways can we play the 8 songs that are on the CD? So we learned a couple of days ago that how to figure out how many ways there are to put 8 songs in order. So we need a permutation. So if we want to order 8 songs, it is just 8 factorial. So it's 1 out of 8 factorial, which is 1 out of 40,320, or approximately 0.0000248, which is not a very good likelihood. Okay, so then we'll take it a step further, and we'll say that suppose you have 4 favorite songs on the CD. What is the probability that 2 of those favorite songs are played first in any order? So the clue in any order tells us that we are not dealing with permutations here. We are dealing with combinations. So if I have 4 favorite songs on the CD, and I want the probability that 2 of the favorite songs are played first in any order, we need to figure out what is how many ways can I get a favorable outcome? Okay, the favorable outcome would be that 2 of the 2 songs that we pick are of the 4 favorite songs. So, how many ways to get a favorable outcome? It is a combination of 4 songs choosing 2, because we want to pick 2 of those 4 favorite songs in any order, so it's a combination. Out of the total number of outcomes, which is how many ways can I pick 2 songs from the whole CD. So if we remember, there are 8 songs on the CD, so it would be out of a combination of 8 choosing 2. Out of the 8 songs, we're choosing 2 of them to be played first in any order, so it's a combination. So we have 6 out of 28, which is 3/14. Or you could say it's approximately a 21.4%. Okay. All right, let's look at the next example. There are 9 students on the math team. You draw their names one by one to determine the order in which they answer questions at a math meet. What is the probability that 3 of the 5 seniors on the team will be chosen last in any order? So once again, in any order tells us that we are dealing with a combinations, And so we have to think, okay, we've got a fraction. The numerator is going to be how many ways can I get the favorable outcome? Well, let's see. What do we want to happen? A favorable outcome is what we want to happen. I want 3 out of the 5 seniors on the team to be chosen last. So of the 5 seniors, I want to choose 3 of them. So it's a combination of 5 choosing 3. Out of the total number of possibilities, so there are 9 students on the math team, so I'm really choosing from 9 students. So the total possibilities would be a combination of 9 choosing 3. So you go to your calculator and you see that it is approximately about 11.9% probability. So remember, we can write probability as a fraction, we can write probability as a decimal, or we can write it as a percent. Okay, and lastly, we want to look at this geometric probability problem. And I have a feeling that we probably saw some geometric probability last year in geometry, but I just want to review it real quick. Let's see, we throw a dart at the board shown. Your dart is equally likely to hit any point inside the square board. Are you more likely to get 10 points or 0 points? Okay, so we need to know if we're more likely to get 10 points than 0 points, then there should be a higher probability that I'll get 10 points than 0 points. So we need to figure out what is the probability that I'm going to get 10 points and what is the probability that I'm going to get 0 points. Let's see. To get 10 points, I need to land inside this middle circle here. Okay, so let's see. Geometric probability has to do with either area, ratios of areas, or lengths. So we need to say that the probability that I'm going to get 10 points is the area of that little bitty inside circle that has a radius of 3. So the area of that inside circle is pi times 3 squared, which is 9 pi, out of the total area of the whole square or rectangle. Let's see what it is. Let's see if we got 3, 6, 9. So it's 9 across here. That's 9. So the whole thing is 18. And it's going to be the same going up this way. That's 9. So the whole thing is 18. So we do have a square. We have a square. That's an 18 by 18 square. So this side is 18 and this side is 18. So it's out of 18 squared, which is the area of my square. Okay, so we've got 9 pi out of 18 squared, which is 9 pi out of 324, which if we want to leave it as a fraction, we want to make sure we reduce it to pi over 36. Or we can say it's approximately 0.0873, which is about an 8.73% chance that we'll get 10 points. Okay, now what is the probability that I'm going to get 0 points? Okay, let's see. I get 0 points if I land here, 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 or here. So what I want is the area of the square, which is 324, we already determined that, minus the area of my big circle on the inside. And the big circle has a radius of 9. So 81 pi is the area of that circle. So the favorable outcome in this case is the area of the region that I want to land in. So if I want to get 0 points, then I need to land in that area, those 4 spaces, which has an area of 324 minus 81 pi. Out of the total area of the whole square, which we know is 324. So if we want to leave it as a fraction, we're going to reduce it to 4 minus pi over 4. Or we can approximate it as 0.215 or 21.5%. Okay, so the probability that I'm going to get 10 points is 0.0873. The probability that I'm going to get 0 points is 0.215. So I am more likely to get 0 points, then 10 points.